On June 17, 2015, Dylan Roof entered Emmanuel African Methodist Church to participate in a Bible study with some members of the church. After Bible study had concluded, Dylan Roof took out a gun and opened fire on the members, shooting 10 and killing 9. He shouted many racial epithets during the shooting and told authorities after he was arrested that he wished to start a race war. He is currently in jail awaiting trial on 9 counts of murder, 3 counts of attempted murder, possession of a firearm, and federal hate crime charges.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I was lost.
This video reflects the results of a content analysis conducted on 20 randomly sampled articles from The Washington Post and The New York Times. The most prominent frame in both sources was the race frame. One of the most prominent frames in The Washington Post was race. Race and white extremism, racial hate's part in the crime, and black forgiveness in the face of racial tragedy. They all pointed out how quickly the families of the victims publicly forgave Dylan Roof for the murders. Some articles in the Washington Post sampled as implied that this forgiveness was a sign of progress, while others implied it was another consequence of racism. One editorial in the sample focused on the intricacies of black forgiveness, such as the history and the social context, and claimed that blacks forgive quickly to appear more passive in the media.
I will never be able to hold her again, but I forgive you.
Amazing grace. It was nothing but your amazing grace. You had grace on little me. And I'm so thankful.
The salient presence of the race frame in the New York Times was demonstrated in the mention of racial hate as the motivation behind the church shooting. In the New York Times coverage, the race of the victims was often invoked as their identifying factor. The race code was also applied when articles mentioned the implications of the Confederate flag's salience in South Carolina, or Roof's involvement with white supremacist groups. Only one of the 10 sampled articles situated the attack on the Emmanuel African Methodist Church within the broader context of attacks in the United States. The contextualization was only in a brief reference to the similarity in weapon choice of Dylan Roof and Adam Lanza, the shooter responsible for the Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting. The media's failure to situate the attack in the broader context of racial attacks serves to perpetuate the United States' systematic oppression of Black Americans. Along the same lines, white privilege was another code commonly applied as a subcode to the race frame. Roof was hardly ever mentioned by name, but rather as the attacker or the gunman. This suggests the desire to hide his identity. Further, Roof had multiple run-ins with the police beforehand, one in which police found the weapons he used to carry out the attack in his car. However, he was not questioned and presumed trustworthy when he said the guns were only to be used at a gun range. Our findings demonstrate the power that the media has to set the national agenda and frame the event so some of the most important details are obscured. The presence of the race frame in the context of both news sources suggests that although the media will allude to the racial climate in the United States, it still largely shies away from situating the Charleston church shooting within a wider pattern of violence on Black bodies and on places of worship in the United States.
Amazing grace. Yes, God. Amazing.